realized that I've never actually talked about the culture shocks that I experienced while living in Mexico for over a year with my Mexican wife and our son. Our son was actually born in Mexico, in Monterrey. The variety of life to me, the variety of cultures and people is just so beautiful. So none of these things is negative or bad in my mind. It's just different and sometimes can be a shock to your core senses and experiences and stuff. Sometimes living with Daisy, every now and then I'll get reminded of just like, oh my gosh, our cultures are so different. And it's not a bad thing, but it got me thinking about some of the experiences that I've had in Mexico. I got them narrowed down to 10. I think that's a good number to start with. Number one is just how important family is to everything. You kind of like hear that. I didn't quite know exactly what that meant until soon after Dalen was born. Daisy was getting all sorts of visitors from her family, extended, cousins and aunts and uncles, and we were all pretty exhausted. He's our first, and there's that adjustment period where things are very difficult. There was one night, probably 2 or 3 weeks after he was born, where it was about 10 o'clock at night. We had a knock on the front gate, and I was like, what is going on? And so Daisy and Dalen were already upstairs in bed sleeping. So I opened up the thing and I look out there and I see that it's one of her aunts. I, being the American that I am, I was just like, hi, oh, I'm so sorry. That's so nice of you guys to come visit, but unfortunately her and Dalen are asleep right now. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking, because not only was that considered rude that I found out later, but this was also the main top aunt in the family. And it was like, nobody says no to her and nobody disrespects like that.
Put some respect on my name.
Her family, luckily, was very nice about it. They told me later, they were just like, hey, if someone like our aunt knocks on the door, you let her in and you go wake Daisy up and you make sure that she has a nice visit and everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're right. I just didn't see it that way. I saw it, Daisy needs sleep and Dalen needs sleep. When I said that to them, they were very understanding too, that I'm from a different culture. They ended up coming back. It was either the next day or the day after that. And I just made sure to serve them food and let them rest their feet on me. And I felt so bad. So that was a good eye-opening experience for me, was, hey, no matter what time it is, you open your doors to family and you don't disrespect them like that. This next one was actually a culture shock for me. The very first time that I left the US, there is a separate garbage for all your bathroom needs, and that's where everything goes. The plumbing is not usually powerful enough to handle paper. If you go to Mexico or a lot of different countries, expect to not put your business in the toilet itself and flush it. Watch out for the little bin by the side, that's where it goes. I had no idea how late dinners could be on the weekends, especially when you're having a get together with friends and family, which Mexicans do that a lot on the weekends. They party, they want to have carne asada, they want to get together with friends and family, and I love that, but I just was not used to having dinners so late. If they say come over for dinner, rest assured that dinner is not going to start till at least 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But in my experience, it's consistently much later than that. I've had so many dinners that just go so late. I remember one Christmas in particular where we didn't start eating the Christmas Eve dinner until midnight. And I was just floored. We were having spaghetti and tamales and I was like, this is midnight. I will not be able to sleep. And also I'm going to have digestion problems during the night.
Do you have anything besides Mexican food?
And it did get a little bit better for me, but I just would always have a little chuckle. The crazy birthday parties for kids. I mean, it's quite the celebration. Sometimes there can be bouncy houses, DJs, a bar for the adults. They've always got to have a theme, and a lot of times they're at event centers where there's a whole crew of employees that are feeding you, and the family that has the kid that's having the party gets all these little gifts for everybody, themed gifts. And at least in my family, that was not the case. Maybe we would go out for pizza or something with a friend. For Dalen's second birthday party, Daisy really tried hard to kind of have it like she's used to and have it be at like an event center that has like an obstacle course, like a jungle gym for kids. It's taken some getting used to for sure for me. This kind of goes along with my first one of, you know, not disrespecting the family that came over to visit Daisy, but just overall, the respect for elders is way higher in Mexico. It's like whatever grandma and grandpa say goes, and you make sure that the kids are not roughhousing too much with them, and you make sure that they're not being interrupted, and it's to a whole different level in Mexico. Let's say even like if the grandpa were to like get mad at someone's kid,
listen up, you little spazoid!
The parents don't really say anything because they need to have that respect for grandpa and let him be mad and let him say his piece and stuff, and they just kind of have to go along with it. You can buy almost anything from a truck that drives by the neighborhood. Trucks, carts being pulled by bicycles. When Dathan was born, it was like every couple days there was this truck that had this really loud music that would drive down the streets of the neighborhood. And kind of like what we would think of with the ice cream truck, right? They had this song that was playing really loud, and I was like, Daisy, what is that? And she's like, oh, that's the bread truck. If you want like really like nice fancy bread, you just step outside your house when you hear the music and buy your bread for the next couple days. And they have that with a lot of things, fruits and vegetables and different snacks like elotes. As long as you're kind of paying attention to outside, you can just get a lot of stuff through these traveling salesmen that go through the neighborhood. Just how much music is always playing everywhere, especially on the weekends, but it doesn't have to be the weekends. I remember at Daisy's little house in Monterey, that's like 45 minutes outside of the main city. Our backyard neighbor was just blasting his music. It didn't really bother me. I've never really been bothered by loud neighbors. This is kind of fun, and it's something that here in the US, you're either gonna have cops, you know, arrive to your door and say that a neighbor complained, or people are just more keep to themselves and, you know, wear their earphones or keep their music kind of at reasonable levels. If loud music from neighbors bothers you, it's going to be a huge culture shock in Mexico for sure. I've learned a lot of bad words through music blasting by neighbors, so there is that. I'm always pleasantly surprised just how warm and inviting the culture is to me as an American. You'll see that too a lot with like people that go door to door, either selling things or like religions. I've never seen anybody just like slam the door in their face and be like, get out of here, you know. It's not like that at all. It's, you always are respectful and listen to what they have to say and invite them in, or, you know, give them some water. Or I really like that kindness and the treating of people just so well and like fellow human beings. And lastly, and I think this one's pretty cool, is just how much young adults live with or nearby their parents for lots of years. It's not considered lazy or that the parents want to just get them away as soon as possible. It's considered smart, respectful, and helpful. More of like a big family unit than what we normally see here in the US, where it's like, you know, usually the parents want to, you know, they can't wait to get rid of their child from home, and the child can't wait to leave. And for them, it just makes sense to be that strong family unit. This is a quick interruption because while I was editing, I totally forgot to say the 10th, the 10th one, is that people are always greeting each other and saying goodbye. They're very polite. For example, you're walking down the street, you pass somebody on the side of the street, you don't just ignore them. It's buenos dias, or it's hola, or something, just to acknowledge that they're there, and I love that. And then same thing for parties and get-togethers. It's when you get there, it's handshakes, hugs, kisses on the cheek to everybody there. You've got to greet everybody there. That's just the nice thing to do. It's expected. It looks really rude if you arrive to a get-together and you do not greet everybody. It's offensive, and they'll think that something's wrong.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And then same thing when you leave the party. You've got to say goodbye to everybody there. Hugs, handshakes, kisses on the cheek, sometimes all of the above. That's just something that I think is really cool, and one of the culture differences that more than any of this list, I wish that we had in our culture. It just makes everything more warm and personable and not so closed off like we are here in the US. It's fun to look back on them and fun to see where it kind of has tripped me up in the past. We're gonna have more experiences in Mexico very soon. As we move back to Dallas, we'll be a lot closer and be doing a lot more visits into Mexico again. So if you'd like to see more about our time living in Mexico, I've got a whole playlist right here that you can check out. I'll catch you in the next one.